So next we'll call up Suzie, who we all know and love from Village, who is one of our wonderful sponsors for this event, the main sponsor, as is Urban Tree Foundation, and Brian's time flying down here and him bringing his wonderful book to us. So thank you both. Who's this? How does this work? Oh, not that one. Forward, backward is these two, and then that's the little.
Oh, got it. Yeah. And then hold it right here. Where's the point of, okay. So good afternoon. I am Suzie Wiest, Marketing Rep and New Products Chair. Is this working? For Village Nurseries. In the last few years, I've actually had a really wonderful time seeking out and field testing new plants, as Village has really made an effort to not just bring new plants to the market, but to test and promote only those that are, well, that will perform and are relevant. So, as you all know, in our industry, everything begins with the landscape architect. And sharing our plants with you and being your resource, because of that, Village, we receive very, very valuable feedback and direction. And with 1,000 acres from Sacramento to San Diego, we are now able to grow every perennial, shrub, or tree in the most appropriate climate. California, we have had a great year, and it began with the beautiful rains. But the drought is still in the forefront of our thinking. And especially with the Model Water Efficient Landscape Ordinance that has imposed some regulations on us, and as a result of the drought. One of the requirements is the use of the WUCOLS list for water budget calculations, and one of the difficulties with this list is it's very limiting, and it also hasn't been updated since 2014. So this is why I was very, very happy to discover a modification that expands the options that are approved by the Department of Water Resources. And what it says is that researchers with academic institutions can now qualify a plant's water usage. So with that, the horticultural team at UC Davis, they have been doing field testing since 2005. And you can find this information on this website. Again, this you guys will have this link. It'll be posted so you can have this, but it's ccuh, ucdavis.edu, resources, plant trials. When you go to that page, you will see years listed from 2005, and you click on that year. And when you do, it will pull up the explanation of the water treatments. First of all, it'll give you the list of plants, the explanation of the water treatments, and then the evaluations. The evaluations are done very, very well. And it's very descriptive, and it'll be very useful for you. So this is wonderful because this gives you another list of plants that you can go to, and it gives you more information if it isn't on the WUCOLS list. So I just want to say that in reviewing the WUCOLS list, I found some inconsistencies. What is low water use in Ventura would be, they had as moderate in San Diego, and that just cannot be. So you can also call me, and I'm not saying I'm an academic institution, but I have written some emails, and I have been able to sway a few, I guess, what do you call them, landscape auditors in the past. So another great thing is, so when it comes to new plant introductions, they're not on the WUCOLS list also. So Village and many plant breeders are sponsoring the field testing with UC Davis. So when we have a new plant introduction we're really excited about, we add it to their list, and right now they are testing plants for us, and that will be listed on that website as well. So I'd like to share some of those plants with you today, some that they're testing, but also some of the drought-tolerant all-stars that are already in the WUCL's list. So I want to get started with that. How am I going to do this? Okay, so would it be okay if I pass these around? So this, our first one is, has anybody here used Bouteloua gracilis Blonde Ambition? What a great name, right? So this plant, this is a warm season grass. It grows about 1 to 2 feet by 1 to 2 feet. It's a beautiful meadow grass. I suggest planting it en masse. This, what happened here? Was I, did I really? I didn't even see that. It's very interesting. Okay. Sorry about that. You ought to see when I drive, too. Okay. So I took this picture at the Huntington Garden, and this was a meadow that they have. And one thing I love about Bouteloua gracilis Blonde Ambition, too, is take a look at the flowers. So the flowers are much larger than the species. This one was discovered in Santa Fe, New Mexico. A man named David Salmon with High Country Gardens discovered it. It loves the heat. It is very tough, very drought tolerant. Blonde Ambition is more vigorous. It has a much larger flower. It's just more robust. And I think it's more drought tolerant. It seems to always look nice. Now, because it's a warm season grass and you want to get the most bloom out of it, I would suggest if you're going to cut it in the winter and let it fill up with buds. And the other thing I love is if you take a look at this picture, does it give you the impression of maybe a rock concert or like flags that are cheering you on as you're walking by? And this is a real happy plant. So again, it's 1 to 2 feet. It blooms in the summer. It has the common name of mosquito grass because now that's for the species, and that's the smaller flowers. By the way, the species, the flowers are a little more purplish. These are really blonde, hence the name Blonde Ambition, and much larger. And they look like happy flags, so they kind of cheer you up. So I love this grass. Our next plant, this is a native. This is native to San Luis Obispo. Did I do it again? Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to, thank you. Okay, so this is,
Take control away. Do that.
yeah, go to this is Ceanothus. Ceanothus maritimus valley violet. It's native to San Luis Obispo County. Now, this was discovered by UC Davis. They started testing it in their field trials, and because it performed so wonderfully, and what I mean by that is it's adaptable, it's slower growing than other Ceanothus, but it can take summer water where some Ceanothus will not. Because it's slower growing, they say it's much longer lived than other Ceanothus. It has a beautiful rounded habit, so it's only about 2 to 3 feet tall by 3 to 4 feet wide. If you get a really close look at it, the leaves kind of look like oak leaves. They're very dark green. But the best aspect of this plant is it blooms. It is covered in blue-purple clusters in the spring. And my favorite factor of this plant is, or benefit of this plant is longer lived and can take summer water. And what that means to me is when our clients are happy, when your clients are happy, then we're happy. And this is an adaptable plant that will grow very well in a regular ornamental garden. So with some natives, they can't really handle summer water. So anyway, it does very well. Okay, thank you, Michelle. Oh, here's another one. Okay, so I'm really excited about the plants I brought you today. This is a very cool, look at this. This is a Laurus nobilis little ragu. So this is a dwarf. You wanna, I don't know if you can pass that around. Take a good look. The stems are red. The leaves, they're very, very aromatic. The leaves are such a deep, deep, shiny green, and the stems are red. This grows only 6 to 8 feet by 6 to 8 feet, and it'll take about 10 years for it to do that. So when you're looking for just a nice green screen, something that always looks nice and maybe that something you might want to cook with, this is your perfect plant. You could even grow it in its natural state, so you can grow it as a hedge or in its natural state. You can put it in a pot right by the kitchen, right outside. It has a really Mediterranean look. But, you know, with some bay plants, you have to crush them in your hands to really get that scent. This one, you don't have to do that. You can just walk up and you can just smell the leaves. They're very aromatic. But again, nice small screen. This is a plant that I would put in the category of dry lush because it's also drought tolerant. So, and on the WUCL's list, it's listed as low water use. So isn't that cool? It looks very, very tropical. So, okay. No, we don't. Oh, okay, great. So are a lot of you using lomandra, maybe lomandra breeze, other lomandras? Lomandras are not grasses, they're perennials, but they are super tough. This one right now is in the 2017 water trial with UC Davis, and I actually had a picture of it on one of the slides back. They're testing it in the shade, they're testing it in the sun. This plant is doing fabulous in every situation with every water treatment, and I think this is going to be in their all-star group. So UC Davis, they choose about 100 plants to go with their all-star group, and I think this one's going to go in it. This one's called Platinum Beauty. It is the first variegated lomandra. Because it's so drought tolerant and it's just so adaptable, this plant looks excellent with succulents. So I picture maybe one of the burgundy succulents or maybe an echeveria. Anyway, it'd be really pretty. 2 to 3 feet by 2 to 3 feet. Anyway, excellent. It'll also do really well in a median because it's so tough. Am I getting background noise on this? Or is that just, okay, maybe I ought to hold it lower. Oh, okay. This plant was discovered by a man with Village. His name is Nicholas Stadden. Many of you may have met him. We call him the plantsman. And he discovered this in El Toro on the Marine base. And what is different about this one plant than the species is, if you notice, if you look at this picture, this is a plant that is growing in his neighborhood. So he planted it and he's been keeping an eye on it. And if you look at that picture, the bloom where the regular pink muley is more pink, this is more of a, in some instances, eggplant color, but really more of a purple color. So it's really pretty. Now, I've been asked, how is it different from Regal Mist? Well, it's much more robust, it's more vigorous, it has a more uniform bloom, it's much more floriferous, and it blooms about 2 to 3 weeks later. So you're just going to get a real uniform bloom, and it's quite stunning. So it blooms in the fall, another warm season grass that benefits from pruning it in the winter. So this is one that I actually suggest pruning it in the winter, cut it back, and you get a much more full bloom in the fall. So it's called Plume-tastic. Sometimes I forget to say the names, but at least I have it on the screen. So Muhlenbergia capillaris Plume-tastic. Actually, it's a very stunning grass. Okay. And here's another one of my personal favorites. This has been around a long time. It's a California native, Penstemon heterophyllus. This variety is called Margarita Bop, or BOP. It got its name. It was discovered at Santa Margarita Nursery, not Las Politas, but it was discovered up in their Santa Margarita yard and at the back of the porch. That's where it gets Margarita BOP. So Margarita Bop is a plant that will bloom spring, summer, and what's really cute about this plant, this is very floriferous. It starts out with this cute little yellow bud, so it kind of lets you know something's about to happen. It's really pretty. Then it comes out with blue, and the flowers start fading to lavender. And when it does that, it looks like a watercolor. So it's just a nice little mounding. It's about 2 to 3 I'd say 2 feet by 2 feet, but I think 2 to 3 by 1 to 2 feet. But again, very floriferous, pretty little watercolor-like bloom, really pretty blue. And it's also a California native that grows in the coastal foothills and in the woodland areas. It takes full sun, but it can take a little bit of shade as well. So Penstemon heterophyllus margarita Bop. And then, oh goodness. Okay, this is a really tall sample. I brought 2 samples. Will you hold that? Here's a smaller sample. So this is Salvia clevelandi Winifred Gilman. Winifred Gilman is different than the regular clevelandi because it has electric blue flowers. It blooms all summer. This plant became a favorite of mine when I went to visit my dad. He lives up in Northern California. And there was, he wanted me to look at his irrigation system. And I'm not that great with them, but I discovered that there was one little area that wasn't working. And there were 2 plants that were doing fabulously in that area where all the others were struggling. And one was Tagetes, the mountain marigold, and Salvia Winifred Gilman. And they do benefit from an occasional deep water, but they can handle drought like nobody's business. They're about 4 by 4. They bloom all summer. Another time I saw them was along this horse corral. It's a beautiful wooden fence, but they were all in mass. And I expected to see hummingbirds going crazy on them, but they were covered with butterflies, and they were in full bloom. Really, really nice. So it's about 3 to 4 feet by 3 to 4 feet. So they look really beautiful along a fence line, but also in just did kind of a mixed native garden as well. So this is Salvia clevelandi Winifred Gilman. And by the way, did everybody get a raffle ticket, or are we going to hand them out?
I think they got a raffle ticket.
Did everybody get one? So we're going to raffle off the plants. I have more outside. We have a selection of other low water plants. So I brought about 40 plants. So there's a very good chance you're going to get one. So meet me at the table. So our last plant, this is one that Carol Bornstein, I don't know if any of you attended our landscape architect and design group meeting last winter, but she spoke at it, and she collected this plant in an area called the Canyon de la Mina. That's how it gets its name, Verbena lilacina de la Mina. This plant will bloom year-round in Southern California, but its peak season is spring and summer, but it's got this medium green foliage that's very delicately dissected, and it's got this pretty kind of lavender purple flower. I've seen this underneath Circidium Desert Museum, and they look great together. So it's very drought tolerant. It's another 2 to 3 by 3 to 4 foot. So it's a little wider than it is tall, mounding, excellent drought tolerant perennial. Should be in all of your designs. So there, you can pass that around. So those are our selections that I wanted to introduce to you today, and I will be outside at the table if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzie.